Naruto Uzimaki vs Izuku Midoriya. Two underdogs who inherited legendary power, fought in world-changing wars, and became the symbols of hope for their generation. But if these two were forced into a one-on-one death battle, who actually wins? Now, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that Deku stands any chance in hell against the most recent version of Naruto. The power gap is just too wide. So for this fight, we'll use Naruto from his war arc against Prime Deku. The two are around the same age and both are fighting their respective wars. In this video, we'll look at their strengths, weaknesses, and abilities to determine who would win in a one-on-one fight. Now, neither of these characters really need much introduction. You either know who they are and you know what they do, or you've clicked this video by accident. Regardless, I'll give you the quick rundown. Naruto is a powerful ninja who controls chakra, their version of life energy, and uses it to create attacks, summon monsters to help him fight, or call in the giant fox inside of him. No, I will not rephrase that. Midoriya has a power called One for All, which grants him incredible strength and speed as well as the power of all the previous users. These allow him to fly, sense danger, and store kinetic energy, among a few other abilities. Both have incredible power and each thrive in different categories when it comes to combat. Now that you're more caught up than me with my taxes, we can get into the discussion. The first category, Strength. Now, if you know Deku, you know that his whole thing is strength. There's not an episode that goes by where he doesn't blow someone up with a single Detroit smash. He's created air currents strong enough to destroy entire buildings, gone toe-to-toe with the country threatening Shigaraki, and punched so hard that he cleared all the clouds out of America in a single punch. The last of which has been calculated to put him at multi-continental levels of power. It's not uncommon for him to completely destroy his opponent in one punch. If he lands a punch on Naruto, he'll be hitting him almost as hard as your dad does when you take too long to bring him a beer. However, Naruto has him beat by a pretty wide margin here. With 6 paths powering up even more than before, some calculations place Naruto around small planet levels of power. Not only does this mean he has the advantage, it also means he's almost strong enough to move your mom. Naruto takes the edge in strength. However, strength means very little if your opponent is too fast for you to land any attacks. Naruto has moved fast enough to clash with opponents such as Madara and his Limbo clones, and has reaction speeds capable of dodging light-based attacks. His famous Naruto run also helps him maintain his speed while running, and makes him just fast enough to run away from his responsibilities as a dad. Meanwhile, Deku has completely blitzed and kept pace with complete Shigaraki, who could react to and catch lasers. Even without Gear Shift, his ability Overlay lets Deku maintain absurd movement speed, and once Gear Shift activates, he gets even faster. Gear Shift gives him 4 levels of speed, which is 1 more gear than dollars I have in my bank account. Its lowest setting, appropriately named Low Gear, has the ability to slow himself and his opponents to a standstill, meaning that if Deku can touch Naruto, he can effectively take the speed advantage. As long as Deku can land that hit, he takes the edge in speed. Of course, speed doesn't mean that you'll never take a hit, and when it inevitably happens, durability matters. Typically, durability scales with power, and for Naruto, that's very true. Some calculations place his durability at also small planet level, and he has the ability to regenerate from smaller injuries incredibly quickly. Deku, meanwhile, doesn't get any additional durability boosts from Fajing or Gear Shift. He's still calculated around continental levels of durability from taking hits from Shigaraki, and can use Black Whip to surround himself in tendrils and shield himself from attacks. Despite this, Deku has to remain on the defensive to effectively block those hits, and Black Whip won't help much against Naruto's more powerful attacks. While he can defend himself to an extent, Naruto takes the edge in durability. They say brains over brawn, but in this fight both characters are incredibly intelligent. Deku is very well known for his mid-fight strategies and creative solutions, but Naruto is just as crafty. Deku is incredibly calculated and constantly thinking multiple steps ahead in any given fight. Naruto, meanwhile, possesses extensive combat experience and an incredible understanding of chakra and its applications. The two are both excellent at hand-to-hand combat and have even developed their own unique fighting techniques, shoot style and frog kata. Both possess an incredible understanding of their abilities and have developed many different strategies and applications for them. Even though Naruto can be a complete idiot sometimes, his combat prowess compensates for it. In a fight, the two would spend the entire battle analyzing each other and trying to create openings. Without a clear distinction, this category is a draw. A character's abilities and powers can make or break a fight, and the two have incredibly vast arsenals. Deku's extra quirks allow him true flight with float, a way to obscure vision with smokescreen, the ability to sense incoming attacks with danger sense, and tendrils for mobility, offense, and defense with Black Whip. Fajing allows him to store kinetic energy for additional bursts of power, while Gear Shift can increase or decrease the speed of himself and his targets. However, using Gear Shift for too long deprives his cells of oxygen, and he can only maintain it for around 20 minutes. Naruto, meanwhile, has a much larger arsenal overall. Rasengans and Rasen Shurikens act as his main attacks, while shadow clones can overwhelm opponents and disguise themselves as the environment. He has a multitude of summons he can bring into battle, a summonable avatar of Kurama to power himself up even further, and truth-seeking orbs capable of erasing whatever they touch. While not every ability in his arsenal, these are Naruto's most commonly used techniques. For his sheer variety of abilities alone, Naruto takes the edge in this category too. Before we move on to the fight, I'd like to ask you to subscribe and leave a like. A lot of time and effort goes into these videos, and it would genuinely mean the world to me. Now on to the battle. So how would a fight between these two actually go? Naruto almost always starts his fight by creating shadow clones, and that's likely what he'd do here. The battlefield would immediately flood with clones attempting to overwhelm Deku from every direction. Deku's attacks come with explosive force and massive wind pressure, so he could definitely clear large groups of them at once. However, Naruto can create hundreds of clones repeatedly throughout the fight, meaning they'll remain a constant problem the entire time. More importantly, the clones allow Naruto to gather information. Their sheer numbers would likely force Deku to reveal multiple if not all of his quirks very early into the fight, stripping him of any surprise factor he may have had. The clones could also disguise themselves as rocks or debris around the battlefield to try and catch Deku off guard. Each clone would also trigger Danger Sense individually, which could quickly become mentally overwhelming for Deku. If he's quick enough or gets the chance to identify the real Naruto, he'd likely attempt to restrain him with Black Whip and capitalize with Gear Shift's enhanced attacks. If Gear Shift lands, Naruto's speed would drastically decrease, giving Deku a temporary advantage in close combat. For a moment, Deku could genuinely start overwhelming him through sheer speed. However, Black Whip has been shown to be breakable before, and the same should apply to Black Chain. More importantly, while Deku can gain the speed advantage, he still lacks the raw power necessary to deal meaningful damage to Naruto consistently. Smokescreen also likely wouldn't help much here. Naruto has repeatedly sensed opponents through their chakra signatures before, meaning he should still be able to locate Deku even without direct vision. If the fight transitions into close quarters combat, the two would likely stalemate for a while. Both are highly adapted fighters with strong hand-to-hand combat skills, threat-sensing abilities, and counterplay options. Naruto's Frog Kata also gives him a dangerous advantage here, as it allows him to damage opponents without direct physical contact and allows his hits to bypass physical durability entirely. Once Deku realizes he's taking damage from attacks that aren't directly connecting though, he'd likely disengage and plan. At that point, the fight becomes much harder for Deku. Naruto's truth-seeking orbs create constant pressure that Deku has to avoid at all costs, and Naruto's ranged attacks become increasingly dangerous over time. Even if Gear Shift continues to slow Naruto himself, it won't affect Kurama if Naruto chooses to summon him, unless Deku gets close enough to somehow land Gear Shift directly on Kurama himself, and eventually Kurama would come out. Once Kurama enters the fight, Naruto's range, attack power, and battlefield control increase massively. Kurama also acts as a chakra avatar surrounding Naruto's body, meaning Deku would have difficulty reaching him directly in the first place. Now, we have seen All Might interact with beings of pure energy before, so it's likely that Deku could too. But while it's possible Deku could still physically interact with Kurama, he still doesn't possess the raw attack power required to seriously damage him. Deku's biggest issue here is time. Gear Shift's time limit means he can't maintain peak performance forever, while Naruto has significantly better stamina and endurance. Once Gear Shift begins wearing off, Deku loses the biggest advantage he had in the fight. He may still be able to compete in speed through overlay, but without the same level of amplification, Naruto slowly starts taking control of the battle. Deku could theoretically attempt to transfer One For All to Naruto in order to damage his soul from within. It's possible he could transfer it via blood to Naruto's mouth or any open wounds he may have, but that would require him to either find Naruto out of the hundreds of shadow clones or get through Kurama. However, both are incredibly unlikely. Eventually, the pressure would become too much. Between Naruto's superior durability, larger arsenal, clone pressure, better stamina, and Kurama's overwhelming power, Deku simply runs out of options before Naruto does. It won't be long until Naruto unleashes one of his most powerful attacks from Kurama and swiftly ends the fight. Without having a way to meaningfully damage Naruto, and Naruto having the durability and power advantage, it won't be long until Deku is overwhelmed and defeated. The winner is Naruto. What do you think? Do you disagree? Do you think the fight would have played out differently? Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, I've been the Hollow Error, and I'll see you next time.